It should, yeah.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I saw a gentleman outside actually that I haven't seen in a while, and he's always seen me in boots and jeans, and he didn't recognize me really, and he said, look a little different. So it's the first time I wore slacks in a while, a little tight, so I run out of air, you know why. So my name is John Cardoza. I work for an organization called Sustainable Conservation at our Modesto office on our dairy team. I've been there for over 6 years now. And before really jumping into that and to the organization and my work, I kind of want to tell you about me and myself and my background a little bit because I think it's really relevant and important to me at least. I come from a family here in the San Joaquin Valley where I'm a fourth generation farmer. And my great-grandparents actually came from the Azores in Portugal. And we actually started a dairy in Tracy. And we actually helped others come from the mainland and the Azores come to California, provide them a job on the dairy, and get them up off on their feet. And then eventually we actually went to Manteca, where we have our home ranch, and we bought in 1936. Well, we still farm today. We still farm alfalfa hay for dairies in our area, silage corn for dairies in our area, sweet corn, and pumpkins. I went on to Cal Poly, got my BS in agribusiness, and worked at Farm Credit West as an intern for a little while, and at the USDA at the Farm Service Agency. That led me back to the home ranch, working for Cardoza Brothers, Cardoza Farms, and then eventually to Sustainable Conservation, where I am now. I do like to fish, yes. So, Sustainable Conservation helps California thrive by uniting people to solve the toughest challenges facing our land, air, and water. We bring together business, landowners, and government to steward the resources that we all depend upon in ways that make economic sense, because we all know that common ground is California's most important resource. I want to talk a little bit about how we work. We are highly collaborative, we're really focused on economic solutions, we're science-based, and we're result-oriented. We've been partnering with dairies actually since 2001, and the way we do that is we actually bring resources to the table and we address some of their toughest challenges. And I can guarantee you, and it's a fact actually, that we actually spend more time on the ground and have stronger relationships with folks on the ground in dairies and on the farms in California than any other NGO in California. And something that I wanted to mention that's really important to, I believe, our work is the people who really guide us and provide a gauge for us as we do our work. We have an executive board, we have an advisory board, and we also have a San Joaquin Valley Advisory Committee. And the reason why it's really important is because these folks really help guide us, and they actually come from all different walks of life. From the boardrooms, from the factories, from the processors, to on the farm, to the office. And they all come to the table to really provide different inputs and different perspectives. Because I think in most jobs, at least that I've been in before, really the perspective really echoes your own or even your own coworkers. So this provides us really some ground truthing, keeps our feet on the ground, and really, it's really important to our work. So let's talk about the California dairy industry and its really importance, and really why it's a good fit for us in our work. It's such a large industry. It's the largest dairy state in the U.S. 21% of all milk in the U.S. comes from California. And really, the dairies in California provide a significant amount of jobs and revenue to the state and their own local communities. As you can see, we're actually number one producing state, $34.4 billion in sales in 2014, provide 50,000 jobs. So 90% of that 21% actually comes from the San Joaquin Valley. You see here those counties that are highlighted. And it's really, really vital, this industry, to actually the communities that it supports. Now, as a relevant to our work and us, this is a heat map where most of the cows and dairies are actually concentrated within the valley. So really, Stanislaus County, Merced, Tulare, and Kern are where you see the really dark spots where most of the cows and dairies are located. And what that means is really that's where we're having a lot of impacts with water, air, and greenhouse gases. So some of the things that we work on, like I just mentioned, are the three things: the water quality, air quality, and greenhouse gases. And as you see pictured here are just some examples of some of the projects that we actually do on the ground partnering with dairies. One is biofiltro, where we're helping filter out nitrogen out of nutrient water coming from the dairy operations. Strip till or conservation tillage, which is reducing passes in a field from potentially 10 to 12 passes down to 3 to 4. And then even addressing greenhouse gases on dairies as well. So that slide looks a little funny, but anyways, we're gonna roll with that. I think it's really important before we jump into what we're gonna talk about, what we've been working on in partnership with NetFM and University Cooperative Extension of California and West United Dairymen about our manure drip system is how a dairy operation actually works, okay? So the logistics of it, I think, is really important. I'm gonna walk you through it. I know probably many of you here in the room have understand it and been on a dairy, but we're gonna start here at the bottom. You have your cropping field where you grow either silage corn, winter wheat, sometimes winter oats. That is usually harvested and put up into a silage pit where we see the feed is. That feed is then taken and mixed with a ration and fed to the cows. And those cows are brought to a milk barn. You have the milk that goes to the processor, and then actually whatever's not made it to milk, right, you have manure. And most people call it waste or lagoon water, but we like to call it nutrient water. So that manure is actually flushed from the dairy operation with water off the concrete into a holding pond, and that's what we call nutrient water. And the reason we call that nutrient water is because that actually holds a lot of beneficial nutrients that feed the crops that eventually feed back to the cows, and it's not wasted. So ideally, it's actually a closed loop system. And one other thing I wanted to talk about is any misconceptions around a dairy. Dairies actually have to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So at Christmas Eve when we're at home having dinner with our families, someone has to be at the milk barn milking the cows. And milking is just not all about the dairy. It includes farming, it includes nutrition, it includes breeding, manure management, a whole host of other things that's really important that we need to keep in the back of our mind that the owners of these businesses and the operators of these businesses have to deal with on a daily basis. So, like I mentioned, ideally, the system of manure on a dairy is actually a closed loop system in terms of nitrogen. That's what we're focused on within that manure. And really the focus actually has been with nitrogen and the over application of it at times where potential for runoff or leaching can occur. And the focus actually has been on the lagoons on dairies, which is science has shown really not the case. And actually 95% of any leaching that occurs is actually through field application or flood irrigation. And really the challenge here is how do we grow a good crop without over applying? So really the only option dairy producers have at this point is flood irrigation. As you can see here, we have a flood gate. The way they operate is just open it up and it floods the field. And it's really difficult to really pinpoint your nutrient applications here. So the way the project came all about was actually dairy producers were experiencing drought just like everyone else in ag and everyone else in the state in general. And out of necessity, they had to figure out other ways to really irrigate. They were coming into huge operational costs because of the drought. They were coming into collapsed wells that were going dry, increased water costs from the irrigation districts. And we need to keep in mind too that on average, California dairy spends 63% of all expenses on feed. So 63% of all expenses. And a lot of dairy spends millions of dollars yearly on just operational costs. So just keep that in your mind. And so we actually had a dairy producer approach us saying he had this idea and we wanted to make this work. So we all got together, including NetFM USA, and we actually said, okay, how are we going to get this stuff into drip tape? So it wasn't easy, but over the course, So over the course of 2.5 years, our partner on the left is Nate Ray. He's a farm manager with Dieger Dairy down in Chowchilla. And here on your right, we actually have Todd Rakerberger with NetFM, Dennis Hannaford with NetFM, and then Lottie Asgiel with Sustainable Conservation. We all put our heads together. We really came across a lot of challenges to make this thing work. And we all put in time and resources and equipment to really figure this thing out. And at the end of the 2.5 years, we were able to do that. We were able to come up with our successful manure drip system we have today. Not sure if it's.
Is that, something special there? Okay. I don't know if QuickTime is on there.
Not available. Okay. Well,
Sorry.
we're gonna skip the video. It's actually like a 5-minute video that was produced by Net. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So it's
You have to give us a mental picture.
okay. A mental picture. The grass is green. The sky is blue.
And the corn is unbelievable.
Right. Exactly. It looked really awesome. So, anyways, we're gonna skip that. But it was a film produced by NetFM. It had us in it. It had Diego Derry in it, Nate Ray, and basically just talked about our challenges and how we got to the point where we are now and really figuring this thing out. And yeah, so.
I may have it on my computer, so during the break, we may be able to do something.
Okay, great. And if you Google sustainable conservation and Diego Derry and NetFM, that should pop up on YouTube, and you can check it out too. So I just want to explain really quickly how this actually works. On the left, we actually have the lagoon water coming in, the nutrient water coming in through the source pipe. The right is actually the fresh water, and it comes up through booster pumps. We're using flow meters. We're using hydrocyclone filters to filter out any solids, really actually a lot of the sand. And then we come up and it blends together. We're actually using an EC sensor that will help us gauge our concentration of blending based on EC within the lagoon water. It then goes to your sand media filters, so we filter out the solids in the lagoon water or nutrient water, and then we irrigate our field. So really, this system, what we found out, collecting up all of our data over the course of 2.5 years, has really the trifecta of environmental benefits. We're increasing water quality, we're increasing water use efficiency, and we're reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And when we actually had a flood field comparison right next to us, and where we also collected data. So we increased water use efficiency by 38%, we increased nutrient use efficiency by 52%, we decreased salt loading overall by 56%, and our yield actually remained consistent or was actually better. And at this point, we figured this thing's ready for adoption on a larger scale. So, knowing that there was a need from dairies, we're actually getting a lot of calls from dairies in the state and actually across the U.S. I was even getting calls from hog farmers from like Iowa, just randomly finding my phone number, interested in the system. So it was really encouraging to hear all this and get these calls and see all this interest, because we know this demand is there. This is not something that we created looking for an issue. There's an issue out there, and there's demand for it. So our plan to scale up was to partner with our folks here and actually work through the Natural Resources Conservation Service at the federal level. So we actually partnered with 3 different dairies in the San Joaquin Valley, NetFM, University of California Cooperative Extension, Western United Dairymen, which is the largest trade association for dairies in the Western United States, and applied what we call a conservation innovation grant. And there was 45 provided or given out this last year, and we were one of them. And so what this has allowed us to do is expand our sites, our resources, and expertise. And really the goal of this is, it's a 3-year project. We're able to demonstrate that these projects actually work on 3 different dairies in 3 different regions, 3 different management styles, different acres, soil types. And if we're able to successfully do that, we will be able to get on what they call an environmental quality incentives program list. And what that list does, it provides any dairyman within the country to go into the local NRCS office and apply for cost share assistance up to 50%. So it really will expand our adoption rate really quickly for these types of systems. And so our plan going forward is really, we're actually installing the systems right now. One's already installed, 2 more will be finished here in the next 2 months. We're gonna calibrate them, train up the dairy producers personnel on irrigation and how to operate them. We'll be collecting data over the next 4 cropping seasons, and then really demonstrate that they actually work. And the goal is actually for the project is we're improving water use efficiency, nutrient use efficiency, and we want to come out with a really doable return on investment for the dairy producers. Super important, and that's something we'll be hitting hard on, focusing on. And so what I want everyone to walk away with here today is we need to understand dairying and farming is really complex, and manure management is just one aspect. Understand that there are win-win solutions out there to address some of these issues. And let's support those out there that are proactively doing this and addressing these issues. And I really want to thank Netafim, Todd Reckenberger and Dennis Hannaford, and Netafim in general for really being supportive of this type of project, and Diego Derry as well for being such great partners. And we look forward to the future.